how time flies. You know, it was another Earth Day over the weekend, right? I mean, I'm still decorating my tree. And you know what that means? It means that aging hippies and earnest college freshmen are donning their loose-fitting hemp clothing, firing up Indigo Girls CDs, and feasting on tofu in celebration of Mother Earth. Others, like Sheryl Crow and Inconvenient Truth producer Laurie David, had trouble curbing their enthusiasm. Yeah, I said it, I worked it in. They verbally attacked Republican strategist Karl Rove at the White House, at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You know, I understand everybody is, you know, all up in arms about global warming and the environmental debate and temperature running hot. People are passionate in their beliefs, but here's the thing. A new survey has shown that when it comes to green issues like energy and the environment, the average American is more likely to believe a myth than the basic facts, like cutting down all the trees. We're doing that, right? Oh, the forests are receding. You know what? The truth is, since 1985, we're gaining forest land, not losing it. Our cities are more polluted than ever, right? No, not so much. Our air is actually cleaner today than it was in 1970. In short, what people think they know and what is actually true isn't even close to the same thing. Daryl and Carlo, he's a talk show host for KTAR FM in Phoenix, Arizona. David Jenkins is a government affairs director for the Republicans for Environmental Protection. And Chris Horner is the author of The Politically Incorrect Guide to Global Warming and Environmentalism. Daryl, first off, tell me what happened at the Correspondents' Dinner this weekend.
How do you like that? Laurie David comes out and she says she dry cleans her clothes, so she takes her clothing, puts it in a bag, and takes it to the dry cleaner as though that's going to change the entire world. What an unbelievable story, Glenn. I'm glad you brought me on to talk about it, because they're turning it into politics, period.
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean, the Correspondents' Dinner, I don't know if this is the Alex Baldwin School of Ethics here, but I mean, the Correspondents' Dinner is not the time to corral Karl Rove and grab him by the arm. He said they intentionally set out to insult him, and they did.
There's no question that that's why they went to see him, because they said that they wanted direct access. And again, in Hollywood, if you're a movie star or a singer or producer, performer, you apparently have all rights to corral the president and the president's right-hand man if you want to. I guess I have the same access. I guess that's the way that it works.
So Chris, help me out, because Sheryl Crow then came out, and I think this is insane. She came out and said, well, I think we should just use, I'm not kidding, America, 1 square of toilet paper per. Right. Well, how exactly is that going to help us out? Besides, nobody will ever want to shake hands with anybody ever again.
Back to the days of disease. Wonderful. Yeah, I'm happy to announce on this program that our very clever campaign is moving ahead of schedule to plant what appeared to be the biggest collection of breathtakingly hypocritical and otherwise detached individuals on the other team to discredit their entire hysterical movement. The bad news is I must regret for tonight's celebratory dinner at Sheryl Crow's house for reasons you can probably imagine. I mean, this is really, we just have to sit back and watch. The more they say, the sillier they sound, and it's always the noisiest, bossiest people who happen to, upon scrutiny, have bus caravans, 6 cars you've seen on the Smoking Gun today, maybe her requirements for her tours, Al Gore's jet set lifestyle. This is, as always, about what other people must do, because their energy use is legitimate, Glenn. Mine and yours is illegitimate.
Yeah, David, you know, I heard somebody actually come out and say, ban all jets, ban all private jets. I'm not a fan of this. You know, I say capitalism rules, and the reason why people use private jets, a lot of the reason is time is valuable to them, and time is money. Sheryl Crow will tell you can guarantee it that these people are flying around on private jets. What do you think about a proposal that says, why don't you just live to the standard that Bush has set at the Bush Ranch in Texas?
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to sit and defend some of the crazy things that comes out of the mouth of liberals, but I think that the things you hear from some of these people just reinforces the idea that it should be conservatives that are leading on environmental protection issues and climate change. And that doesn't mean denying climate change. It just means leading and actually understanding the issue better and moving forward, and not leaving it to the hands of people like Sheryl Crow to tell us how to
hang on just a second. Panel, is everybody with him on saying that the conservatives should board on climate change? Is that what I just heard you say?
Yeah,
Yeah,
hey, Glenn, let me see if I can answer that for a second. I think we're all supposed to be doing our part, every single one of us. What I find interesting is when you have the Al Gores, who, by the way, is using this to gear up for an election process in '08. You have the Sheryl Crows of the world. What they're trying to do is say, I get to live at this level, and you have to take care of the rest of the world. I say, if we're all going to play fair, let's all jump on the same level at the same time.
No.
Period.
This isn't about taking care of the rest of the world. This is about extending third world poverty. It is the masses who continue procreating in untoward numbers, the poor world that they despise. Remember, conservatives are taking the lead on climate change. We point out climate changes. It always has, it always will. For that, we're called deniers. Remember this, when Laurie David and what's-her-name assaulted Karl Rove in the parlance, they pointed out something that's not true, and that is that the U.S. is doing less than anyone else in climate change. If promises that nobody will ever keep matter, then Europe is the world leader. Just ask them. But if actual emission, the rate of increase is important, the U.S. is leading the world. They don't seem to care about data. It's all about promises. What would make me feel good, and in this case, most importantly, what makes me feel bad, which is why they get out of bed in the morning, the U.S. is the bad guy, and man is the agent of doom.
It is really truly amazing. I mean, even when you look at, I opened it up with the fact about deforestation, that, we're cutting down trees left and right. We're planting more trees. There are more trees now, and Chris, you would probably know the hard facts on this. I know since 1985, but I believe there are more forest land now since like 1900.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is actually a bad thing. The Greens are now railing against, these are called monocultural trees, which are exactly what you in today's culture would expect. They are trees that were planted. They were raised among only their own kind. I'm not making this up. There's a Rainforest Action Network, and somebody else called for this not to be allowed under the Kyoto Protocol. You can't get credit for planting trees. Nature didn't intend it this way, and they're actually a bad thing. And by that, if you run the numbers, that means they're a greater threat than the greatest threat facing mankind.
Wait a minute.
If you're starting to think this is stupid, I'm way ahead of you.
What are they calling this?
Monocultural trees, which, as I note in my book, are a greater threat than global warming, apparently.
I cannot take it. Now, Daryl said a second ago that Al Gore is running. Absolutely true. We'll give you the details on that here coming up in just a second. I also want to remind you that we have our special next Wednesday, May 2nd. It's an hour on this debate. It's Exposed, the Climate of Fear. There is another story, side to this story, that is not being heard. Believe me, gather your family around. You do not want to miss our special